What's up, my dudes? Old Jett Lawrence. Let's get in here and talk about this. So I've been seeing this sort of talk, and, a couple people kind of going down this sort of vibe here where with Jett Lawrence doing as good as he has with how young he is, I feel like it's been a minute since we've kind of seen that in the motocross, supercross world. And so I think it's got a lot of people's heads spinning and kind of thinking, oh my God, is this guy going to go on and win, another 10 championships in a row? And I've kind of seen that sort of hint at the comparison to, oh my God, is Jett Lawrence the next James Stewart? Is he going to be the next Ricky Carmichael? I mean, whatever, kind of comparison you want to make there. Here's the thing. I have absolutely nothing against Jett Lawrence, not even in the slightest way. I think he's a cool dude. He's doing unbelievable for what he's doing, and, he put the proof to the pudding in the outdoor series, finally won that. I feel like we have a serious problem in modern day motocross and supercross where people get way too hyped way too early about everything, whether it's like amateurs going to Loretta's and, they get a fifth at Loretta's and they somehow think that means that they're like, there's some big dog status, or they're like entitled at that point, or they've made it in motocross. I've just seen this whole wave of overhyping things before they actually really have it in motocross or supercross, right? Like, if somebody goes out there and wins at Loretta's, people automatically think, oh my God, they're going to be a 450 Supercross champion. You see what I'm saying? Or it's like, even to the point, if you get to that level where you can actually win a 250 Supercross race, people think, oh my God, he's made it. He's going to be a 450 Supercross champion. Or they think, if you can get through all those stages and then finally get to the point of being a 250 Supercross champion, people think, well, finally, he's got to be, on his way to be a 450 Supercross champion at this point. But what I'm trying to get across is it does not always go that way, okay? I mean, oh my Lanta, at the countless amount of names out there that have either done amazing at Loretta Lynn's, I'm talking multiple titles, more than 5, you know what I mean? And then they go on to never really actually do anything in the pro ranks, right? You've got a lot of them that have come out there and done amazing in the 250 class of the pro ranks and then just fizzled out. For whatever reason, they just couldn't do it in the top class. And I hate to break it to some of you guys, but you do realize that if you're not literally in there basically winning 450 main events or 450 championships, you're not really making enough money to really sustain you for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? Even if you go in there and win a 250 Supercross championship, what is that? Maybe $1 million bonus and everything. Maybe, I don't even know if it's $1 million. I don't even know. But I've just seen a lot of them that have literally won a 250 Supercross title, and whatever it is, it's like they may go win a 250 Supercross title, but then they feel entitled, so then they go spend all that bonus money on a 450 trainer and a track and a compound, and a lot of them get really loose with their money, and then they realize pretty quick that it's not as easy as they thought to do it in the 450 class, so then they wake up and realize, oh shit, now I don't have that Pro Circuit 250 ride that I used to have. And then before they know it, they're shuffled back to a B-tier 450 team. And then they realize pretty quick they're never going to make it in the 450 class, really. And then they wake up and realize they don't really have any money left from their 250 Supercross titles. And they're shit out of luck. I really hate to throw out names, but I think it's crucial at this point to just explain what I'm talking about. Brock Tickle went in there and won a literal 250 Supercross championship. I mean, oh my God, the list just goes on and on. Josh Hansen, Josh Hill, Justin Hill, Justin Bogle. I mean, it is endless, the amount of people that have done amazing in the 250 class and then just couldn't do it at the actual top level. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is, even though Jett Lawrence has all the hype in the world, he's getting it done, he's doing really good, he won the 250 Outdoor Series, everybody needs to keep the hype in check, I guess is what I'm saying. It's cool to be a fan of Jett, and, you know, I'm definitely no hater of Jett or anything like that. I mean, you could actually kind of call me somewhat of a fan of Jett, but, like, I guess what I'm saying is there's been many of occasions where they come out swinging, but then it don't necessarily go that perfect little magical path that you think it's going to go, right? James Stewart was definitely a one-of-a-kind breed, and there ain't nobody else that's ever going to do what James Stewart did. Period. Period, bro. And I think there's a lot of guys coming through the ranks nowadays, too, that, you know, people think that they're going to be like a James Stewart or like a Ricky Carmichael or whatever, but I just think a lot of people are kind of overhyping it, you know? People thought Cianciarulo was going to be like that. People thought Barcia was going to be like that. I mean, hell, even a lot of people thought Tomac was going to be like that. And yeah, Tomac's done pretty good, but he still ain't no Stewart, you know, Carmichael level. I still don't believe that. He just still ain't to that kind of level, dog. He's really not. It's been a long time since we've really had... I mean, Villapoto is kind of the last one that I can think of that really was to that, like, super legendary status. Obviously, Dungy was pretty good, but I still think Villapoto was basically the last one we've had that was, like, even comparable, really, to Carmichael and Stewart, right? With where Jett Lawrence came from and all the experience that he got, I think that's really what has helped him come over to the United States and do what he's done at such an early age. I think it's kind of separated him from a lot of these amateur, you know, U.S. guys that we have. But yeah, I mean, he's shocking the world. There ain't no doubt about it. But I have to just remind everybody, Cianciarulo also shocked the world in the 250 class. Austin Forkner also shocked the world in the 250 class. How many more? I mean, even Justin Barcia shocked the world in the 250 class. And none of those boys has really done anything actually massive in the 450 class as far as championships. Like, obviously, Forkner's not even to the 450 class yet, but you get my point. There's a shitload of them that can do really amazing in the 250 class, and then it just never actually carries over. They may go win a 450 race, but it never carries over enough for them to become this legendary status that everybody gets all hyped up about when they're in the 250 class, right? I mean, I'm seeing a lot of people just being mind blown about Jett Lawrence and all that, and, like, I get it, you know? He's doing really good for his age, but now he's, what is he, 18 now? So he's like that 18, 19 age range. He will be next year, right? So I just feel like there's a lot of hype that gets built up around these certain particular motocross and supercross riders, specifically when they're at a really young age, right? That's what really seems to spark off that sort of hype. Like, if Jett Lawrence came into the scene at 19 or 20 and he started doing what he was doing, there would have been nowhere near as much hype around him than the fact that he came in at, like, 16 and started doing what he was doing, right? That's really what has developed all this hype around Jett Lawrence, and then him, you know, doing the whole donut thing and then getting into the shit with Cooper, with the dog, and he's gotten it, you know, he's gotten into a couple little beefs and scuffles, and it makes it fun to watch, you know, it makes it fun to be interested in what Jett Lawrence is doing. So he's playing that role pretty good right now. He's interesting to pay attention to. And I think just with him being so young in combination with that, it's got some of these boys' heads spinning right now thinking, oh my God, Jett Lawrence could be this, and this. I feel like we need to get to that point where we just let Jett Lawrence do it, We don't get so looking too far ahead, right? Let's just see what happens. Let's just let the kid work. Let's just let him do it. And I don't want all of the hype around Jett Lawrence to put too much expectation or pressure on him to the point where he pushes it too hard and then makes a mistake and has a big crash, right? You kind of saw a little speckle of that at the last round of outdoors this year when he won the outdoor title. You could tell that pressure started to get to him there at the end. I mean, he just all but lost the outdoor title this year. He pulled his ass around. I got to give him credit. He pulled it around right there at that last moto, but there for a minute, it was questionable. It was really questionable. So I could just imagine next year in Supercross when he gets in some, final round points battle with any of the plethora of really fast star Yamaha riders that there is, gonna basically, without a doubt, one of the fast star boys is going to be in the same coast as Jett Lawrence next year in Supercross. I could just imagine him getting to that. He hasn't won the Supercross title yet, right? And that's the real, once you do that, that's the big monkey off the back. Just winning outdoors, I mean, it's big and it's cool and all, but I feel like that final round of the Supercross title, when it's all on the line, that's where the real stress and making those silly mistakes, Cincerillo, Savacci, all them boys. Savacci's another one that done really good in the 250 class. But then it's like, is he even going to be able to do anything more in the 450 class now? He only got 1 year on the 450 class on Monster Energy Kawasaki. 1 year, dog. And just think how close he was to winning all those different 250 Supercross titles. And they only gave him 1 year in the 450 class. I mean, man, it is so much more cutthroat than people think, It just is. So that's all I'm saying. I think we all need to keep our hype in check, let Jett Lawrence do his thing, and then if he goes out there and wins a Supercross title, then he goes and wins another motocross title, then we can start thinking a little more down that road. But I think it's still just a little premature what some people's thought process is going to. Again, I'm a Jett Lawrence fan. I have nothing against him, but I know how everybody's hype goes bananas whenever you get a really young kid that comes in there and does as good as Jett Lawrence is doing. I don't want it to all blow up in his face because I've seen it happen time and time again. I've seen it happen way too many times, Michael Lessie is a good example of you can do it in the amateurs, but it don't mean you can do it in the pros. Adam Cincerillo is a good example of you can be really amazing in amateurs and be really young and still be amazing in Supercross at a really young age, but then everything doesn't necessarily go exactly like you thought it would. Everything's not going to be this Ricky Carmichael fairy tale story ending. You understand what I'm saying? And I think the more and the more people think that it's going to be that way this early on, the worse and the worse it is for everybody. It's worse on the rider. It's worse on the teams. It's worse on the pressure. It's worse on the fans because then they get disappointed. It just kind of spirals out of control. But I guess what I'm saying is you really ain't proved shit in motocross or supercross until you've literally won a 450 title of some kind, whether it's supercross or motocross. You really ain't proved shit at the end of the day unless you've done that. That's the only thing that's going to give you any kind of real, lasting, teams wanting to get you back and all that kind of stuff for lasting years. When you win a 450 title, what it does is it allows you to have a couple of bad years, but still not completely get shuffled out of the entire roster. You understand what I'm saying? But if you've never won a 450 title, all it takes is having one bad year or one bad injury, and you may not even get another chance to go at a 450 title. You see what I'm saying? I feel like Jett Lawrence is either going to make or break his career over this next year, right? Yeah, he did have the one crash, but I still feel like Jett hasn't had that, like, real career-defining crash yet. And it seems like all of them almost have it at some point. You know, Villapoto had it at, I think that was St. Louis with Dungey, right? Super hardcore thing that you got to overcome. Tomac had it when he tore out both shoulders at I think that was at Colorado National, right? Roxon obviously had his, with his crash. Cincerillo kind of had it back in the 250 class. James Stewart, for whatever reason, I don't know if his body was just made out of rubber. I have no idea. But he could literally wad that shit up harder than anybody and get right back up and get on the bike. He was basically superhuman in that sense. I mean, it was just unbelievable. But I feel like, that really tells the tale when they do have that super, super hardcore crash. And then it's like, what do they do after it? How do they handle their career after that? And hopefully that never happens to Jett Lawrence, but I'm just saying I don't think he's really hit that super, discouraging wall. And with at his age, he's just still completely having fun with it. And he's doing really good for his age, so it kind of gives him, that excuse in a sense of, even if Jett Lawrence gets a fifth, it's like, well, shit, he's still doing really good for his age. You know what I mean? So it kind of takes the pressure off of him. Whereas if you're 25 and you're still in the 250 class, if you're not winning, people are looking at it in a completely different context. They're looking at it in a completely different way, right? But Justin Barcia went out there and won 250 Supercross titles. I remember people saying, oh man, y'all think Villapoto's good, y'all think Dungey's good, just wait till Barcia gets that 450 class. And we've seen what's happened with that. So, I'm just saying from what I've seen too much of that, where everybody thinks they're going to be the next James Stewart, or they think they're going to be the next Ricky Carmichael when they're in the 250 class. And it just doesn't pan out like that at all when they get to the 450 class. You know what I'm saying? But it does happen for some of them. So, it very well could happen for Jett Lawrence, and I hope that it does for him. But I think deep down in his mind, he just needs to be careful and just act like his championship in outdoors is no big deal. You know what I'm saying? Act like that's just, a lot of people's done that, but we got to keep at it and go back to work and get a Supercross 250 title. And even if he gets that, he still doesn't need to look at it like, oh my God, I've done it, I've made it. You know what I mean? He still needs to keep his head on that, okay, I need to be a 450 champion type mindset. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of them boys get way too ahead of themselves, and they think they're some big shit because they won a 250 title. And oh man, they wasn't even close to being ready for what was to come in the 450 class. I've seen a couple people go down the road of oh, dude, when Jett gets on the 450, he's just going to be unbeatable. Well, we don't really have any proof of that yet. We don't really, he won a 250 outdoor title. So is a lot of people. Jett hasn't done enough at this point to just fully 100% prove that he's just going to be James Stewart level in the 450 class, right? I guess that's what I'm getting at here. Just because he's done good at a young age doesn't really mean super long-term success. Either way, definitely let me know down in the comments what you guys think, and I'll see you boys on that next video. Later, dudes.